this closely, I think I spotted something.
Nothing but robot. What was that?
Well, watch this closely. I mean, once he gets going, I'm sure this didn't take long, like no more than a few days or so. But it's one of these bounces, right, wait for it, right there. That came off really hot. I think this is fake.
Probably a little drywall repair needed.
That wasn't a real bounce. Ian Hughes, how are you?
Mr. Clearwater, I'm wonderful. How are you, my friend?
Coach to the superstars. Nice to see you. I'm glad you could take time out of your busy day. I want to talk about how busy your days are here in a second. But do you remember how you first met our friend Dave Balzer?
That would be 2001, January 4th, GTU at the famed Drury.
Followed quickly by a Golden Tee match or something.
I can see that. How long have you been a coach and a manager and a regional manager and all things, all world at GOLFTEC?
I mean, this November I've been with the company 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. That's an awesome accomplishment, by the way. So I wanted to actually talk to you because you you teach as many golf lessons as anybody that we have and have taught as many as anyone that we've ever had at GOLFTEC. How many do you think you've done in your lifetime?
I haven't totaled in a while, but it's over 37,000 with GOLFTEC.
37,000. Nice. Well, I have one of your students up, and what I really wanted to try to share here was a little bit about how we help people play better. We talk ad nauseum, I think, about certain technique and things that people can learn, and I think that's really valuable. But for people to see what you do every single day and how you help people should be encouraging to those people who really want to get better. So I have one of your students, Mike, here. Do you want to talk about Mike's game when he came in, and I'll just roll this swing and we'll dissect it a little bit? This is
when Mike has been in just over a year. So March of 2019, he came in. He was a 14 handicap, wanted to get down to a 10, missed the ball to the left, hit some thin irons, and basically just started to have more time and wanted to play better. And finally got to the point of, I got to have some professional help to get there. So that's kind of how our journey started back then. Is just came in as a frustrated golfer and trying to find some answers to his problems, basically.
Did you tell him immediately in the backswing to close the face more?
I did not. Was
Good
not
advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. But I bring that up because we see people all the time who have just a host of problems, and anyone who would look at the backswing at this point in time probably knows that the club face shouldn't be aiming straight down at the ground. But we see this all the time. This doesn't even faze a guy like Ian. He's seen everything. So I was looking a little bit at this swing, and I noticed first when the shaft's parallel to the ground, the backswing, the club face for sure. Either his grip was severely turned to the left, or his wrist is more flexed than what I can see in that side view picture. But also, he basically is in a body cast with how his hips, shoulders, knees, ankles, and thoracic spine, and even up into his cervical spine are turning and bending backward. Did you talk about that much with him at all in the formative stages of his time?
Yeah, I mean, his club face was actually aiming left of the world to begin with, but we never moved that. His ball position was way back. We never moved that because of his thin miss, and said, as we improve some of the other things in your swing, then we'll come back to that. The big thing we started with is trying to improve how his lower body works so he could start to move his upper body better. So, going after that lateral sway was in the lower body was the first thing, which started to get him a little bit better hand path, a little deeper. And then we started to mix in the separation of the elbows and the length of the swing. And then as he started from there, that started to shallow out his path a lot more, so he wasn't as vertical as he came down. And that's what then enables us to start talking about where the face was aiming at address, eventually moving the ball position a little more forward, but, very steep, just, very, very inconsistent. He was one with plenty of speed, but just had a hard time controlling what was going on from where he was right there.
This one where his left arm is parallel to the ground, the shaft going through the base of his neck. Starting to sound like a broken record, I'm sure, to some people, but that's the beginning of problems. He actually did a pretty good job of lowering the swing direction, where at this point in time, his swing path might be pretty straight, but he did that by sacrificing the ulnar deviation in his wrists.
Yeah, and then he struggled to hit the ground. He didn't hit the ground in the same spot very often and had to play the ball way back in his stance. just to try not to, completely top it sometimes.
I feel like he would hit the ground in the same spot every time, right about where my cursor's at.
Well, not in a spot that's conducive to contact and controlling your distance, but yes, the drop
Not
kick
in a good
wasn't
spot.
up.
Hey, Nick, for those watching this video, I'm going to call timeout. Can you explain ulnar deviation?
Sure. You don't know what that is? You've been teaching golf forever, Dave.
I said for those watching this video.
You'll watch it later. You'll watch it later. That's okay. I don't think Harvey knows either. So your student there, Mike, he's got his arm too far out, his left arm too far away from him on the way down. And then the way that some people lower that sweet spot is interesting. First, you can do what Mike does, which is continue to push his hands further away from him. And then ulnar deviate is when you'd start lowering the shaft, or when I'm basically taking the angle between my forearm and the shaft and making that or more obtuse, or there just isn't much of there's a massive angle in here. So he starts to uncock his wrists or ulnar deviate that way, which just lowers the shaft to the ground and the club head to the ground. So now at this point in time, I'm actually swinging out, where if I didn't have much of that, I'd be ready to hit across the ball. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be to PGA Tour players do this one the most. On the way down, they might have their arm out. Some of them do to a fault. And the way they accommodate that is by bending themselves backward, tilt to the right, and ulnar deviate like you saw that student. And then that can really shift your swing direction in and out. But it comes with a host of other problems that we've talked about on other shows. Mike here has a severe problem with hitting the ground in the right spot because of that procedure he's trying to use.
Boom, thanks.
Problem. Great question. So let's go ahead and look at this swing. So I'm just messing around in Mike's clubhouse account. Looks like he still even has a virtual lesson remaining in there too. So he might have taken one. I'm not sure who we did that with, if it was with you or not, but
we did a virtual lesson working on his putting. As you can see, there's the video he sent in.
That was it. Awesome. Okay. Let's take a look at, I've got a swing. I'm looking at just all of his old ones. The one I found the most interesting was this January 25th one. This does not look any different. So here we are, maybe 9 months into his journey to play a little bit different, and let's take a look at this swing. So first, you know what I did notice in that other one too, and I'm not going to bother pulling it up, was at address he was really bent forward. Either his clubs are really short, or not fit well for him, or it was a form problem. Do you remember what issue that was?
Form. Yeah, it was just he was really bent over, trying to get the sole of the club flatter on the ground, not toe up so much at address. But no, the only thing we fit Mike for so far is a putter, because that was a big issue. We actually have rescheduled our club fitting multiple times due to everything that's been going on.
Yeah, it's crazy. So the forward bend, or if I had the sensor sitting up here on the top of my thoracic spine, right up by the base of my neck, that with the average tour players bent forward 41 degrees. It looked like for Mike to be standing as he was, he might have been in the mid 50s or even higher than that. So tough way to get started, but that's the advantage of what it is we're trying to do, which is just give people quantifiable advice about their golf swing and then some range to start playing better. So some range of acceptability. You don't have to be at 41 like the tour players, but probably shouldn't be bent forward 60 degrees there either. I want to start when the shaft's parallel to the ground in the backswing, Ian, because this is monumentally different. Want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so we had an opposite Matt Wolf as what his little trigger was. So instead, you can almost go back and see that. So instead of opening up like Wolf did before, he would kind of preset to feel himself turning and not swaying, and it helped him just get depth and rotation early, change in knee flex. And we said, as long as you can do it under pressure, just keep doing it. So he still has that little trigger still, even now, working on trying to get the swing started, but getting him to turn more.
That's an awesome point. I like how you mentioned that too. So I keep seeing this around the internet too. Like, I don't know if you guys are watching that one, Ian, or not, but I see like average golfers now turning like Matt Wolf does before he starts. He opens his hips and shoulders a lot, begins his swing, and he's obviously got a backswing that doesn't look like most tour players. But people are copying that. And why do you think that's such a bad idea for the person who might be watching this?
Because they probably don't struggle with overdraws like Matt Wolf does.
Exactly. That's the beginning of slicing. We tell people, like, if I wanted to slice the ball as much as I could, I'd set up like a bunker shot. I'd aim my entire self to the left, open the club face up, and swing across it. Well, everybody, including Mike, who just walked in and hit that way, was trying to do something similar to that. And usually the problems are more egregious than that. So if you're at home trying to copy Matt Wolf's flavor of the weak type of start to his swing by opening your hips and shoulders, you're just making a bunch of your problems worse. So I like what you said of we do the opposite of Matt Wolf. And 95% of the people watching this right now should be doing the same thing. If you did want to start the swing, you push the butt end of the club more forward and turn yourself closed so that you can start swinging a few more degrees to the right or into out. That'd be great advice. I like that. Good point. So let's keep going up because I think it just continues to change even more than that. I thought the top of the backswing on this one looked really good, and the 5 on the way down. So he obviously made his hand path, or the direction his hands are moving much more inward behind him. Is that fair?
Yep. And that was more just a function of him turning better. We didn't really focus on hand path in the backswing that much. It just happened based on setup improvements and then allowing his hips to rotate instead of sway.
Good. And then now you can't drive a car or Dave's F350 through his forearms anymore. Those are a little closer together.
Yeah, that was
like
kind of
Dave. A little plug for the new truck.
Appreciate that, and it definitely
nicely done.
Forearms. I can concur.
Looks really good though, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's credit. He's worked his you-know-what off over the past 15, 16 months to make the improvements in his swing. But one of those students that you just love working with because he comes in and works hard, and then he's here in between sessions when he needs to be, and he makes our job a lot easier, and it makes us look pretty good at what we do when he's in fact doing all the hard work and the heavy lifting. I'm just leading to what he needs to do.
Sounds like producer John and Sabrina, they do all the hard work, so this actually looks right.
How's he hitting it? If he was going to give us feedback, obviously we couldn't have him on today, but if he was going to give us feedback, what would he say?
Well, he started at 14. He wanted to be a 10. He's a 7 right now. His career round was 79. He's now 74. So, and that was with maybe a little suspect putting. So I would say that he's more than happy with his GOLFTEC process at this point.
Thanks. This was a good picture here. So now he's got the grip end of the club through probably closer to the top of his bicep, which is good. So now he doesn't need to just do the ulnar deviation from here, uncock his wrist to lower the swing direction. So if anything, this is a really nice picture of impact too. So what are you doing next with him?
Well, so the next thing is actually to go through and just make sure that the clubs don't need to be tweaked. As far as we actually did tweak Langle late last summer, but he had some forged irons that we could do that with. We want to go through a driver fitting, and then it's just continuing to make sure that he can take it to the golf course right now. So we're not doing a lot swing wise. It's more strategy, course management, and make sure he's not falling back into old habits on the golf course. He likes to fight overdraws because he's still used to getting the club face a little too shut at address. So being mindful of that. But right now it's all just implementing what we did until we probably get a little closer to off season and then break it back down again and see what we can do over the off season.
Yeah, probably looks like this picture here is your next one to work on.
Yeah, he struggles a little there. As the club gets longer, the path will shift too far to the right, as you can probably imagine with some of the changes we've done. And just making sure his wrists and elbows work the way we want so he can control his face to path and his low point on a regular basis.
Yep. Without that, managing the long clubs off the ground is probably tricky for him to do with this kind of form, but it looks tremendously better. You can see how 7 shots can be saved pretty quickly just by changing your swing direction some. This would be a good one to show him. I know you can look at Rory from time to time. I meant to pull this one up yesterday with producer Sabrina, but first, her problem, if you did watch yesterday and missed what I was going to add to it, notice how Rory's left arm isn't nearly as high as hers was at the top of the swing. You want to go back and take a look at that. And then when the club exits on this side, how much straighter both of his arms are. And at times when he's playing his best, I think, hitting irons off the ground, he really doesn't bend either arm all the way through to the finish. But the club itself is coming out a good 3-4 inches from this view below his shoulder. And Mike here has the shaft a touch higher, closer to his shoulder, more of his left elbow bent. Head still looking down some. So you've done a nice job with them. There's plenty still to keep doing. This guy, you think he can shoot even par or even better than that?
Yeah, I mean, he's already shot 74. if he's willing to continue to put in the work. I think sometimes with our students, when you take them beyond what they thought possible, it takes them a little bit to look back and say, wait a minute, I want to be a 10. I'm already a 7. Can we go to 2 or 3? So I think sometimes when you front end goal set, I think for people, you almost have to say, well, what happens when we get there? And they kind of look at you like weird, like, what do you mean? Well, I'm confident I can get you there. So when we get there, are you done? Are you happy? Or do you want to keep going? And human nature for most people is, they don't want to stop, right? They want to, they hit some stuff and say, well, heck, let's just keep going, man. I've cut this thing in half once. Let's do it again. So, it's more on him at this point. Like, we've probably exceeded his expectations, his goals, frankly, because of his hard work. So now he'll have to kind of just say, what's next for him? Is he happy with where he is, or is he going to be greedy and try to go lower? And if I know Mike, he's not done yet.
Yeah. Well, it's not like you need to rip his swing apart to keep going. You just have to keep adding a few little. If he's shooting in the 70s with this form and probably struggles pretty frequently with a 3-wood or like hybrid off the ground, he can shoot even par.
Hybrid, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he hits at 300 yards, so this isn't a problem.
Yep. Bang your driver out there into the fairway without over curving now to the left, and then hit those wedges closer, and you got yourself a recipe for how to play some awesome golf. It's pretty cool. Dave, you think you could teach golf like that? I don't, if that helps.
It would take it. I mean, I probably could get back in the saddle. It has been 8 years since I but
has it been 8 years you left Houston?
Yeah.
Ian just did that in a few months, though. That didn't seem that hard.
Denver, February 2012. 8 years.
That's nuts, man. But we see people like this who have these problems all the time. And if you're with a professional coach like Ian or anyone else that you're going to see on our show, this is what they do all day long. So this isn't, you won't bring them some unique problem that has never been seen before. And you certainly won't bring something that any professional coach, at least for us, is going to laugh you out of the improvement center from. That's what we do all the time.
Yep. Subject matter experts. Absolutely. Ian, not me.
Right. Ian, you're back in business in Grand Rapids, which is exciting, but I don't mean back in business. I mean, you're rocking and rolling. How busy are you and the coaches that work for you there?
Yeah, I'm probably a little bit busier than the other guys. I'm close to 2 weeks out, but everyone else isn't far behind that. So, it's been good. Each day, each week feels like we get a little closer to, whatever our new normal is, so to speak. Just kind of managing as best we can. It's been good for me here because I've been able to get outside a little bit more. So I've been able to kind of catch up on some demand that I wasn't able to get to last summer because of some staffing issues. So spent a lot more time in the short game area and out on the golf course with students so far in 2020. And that's just going to continue to pay dividends for them. But yeah, pent up demand is definitely in my vocabulary.
It's there, man. I'm glad you guys are there, and the golfers are lucky to have you for sure. And it's awesome to see you personally climbing up the ranks of being recognized for being a great teacher, which you have been for a long time on the Golf Digest list and doing stuff for the Golf Digest as well. And best in state teacher in Michigan. And I look forward to watching you climb the ranks on that one. And all those coaches that you work with are awesome too, because they're getting your tutelage as well. So congrats on all of your accomplishments here so far. And I'm happy that you're back in business, although it's getting a little too busy.
Wow. It's never too busy. I'm fine. I teach golf for a living. I enjoy it every day. It never feels old.
That's right.
Thanks for those words. I think, I've been fortunate to be around some great people, both of you on this call included. And, I think the accolades are more than anything else. Just as you get good at your craft, people do start to take notice. And it's not what I've done. So my students have done that, put me in that position, basically. So, you do it long enough, you care about people, you help them get better, and, people start to take notice and people start talking. So.
And they have, and I appreciate your humility. That's how everyone should be about that stuff. But no, you're doing a great job. Dave, you got anything else for Ian? I'm done. Harvey needs to go outside. I got to throw the ball. He's getting mad at me.
Nothing golf related. Ian and I could just go on for hours just about all kinds of stuff.
Oh, goodness. Could you imagine some of the stories we could tell from our training 19 and a half years ago, Dave?
There's some good ones. we were talking a little bit as we are getting prepped for this. I still have my training manual. It sits on
I
my
do too.
desk at headquarters. So back from January 01. Some of the stuff in there is still valid. Lots of it isn't.
Fair.
We've changed a bit in 20 years.
Just
no,
even
no
the
comment
nickname
on that one.
class would be great. I mean, from your buddy from Penn State who struggled with Velcro day one.
Yeah. We had a guy who struggled
That app.
using the Velcro. Yeah.
Okay.
Darth Vader.
GOLFTEC yesteryear. I love where we're at now, though. Business is rocking and rolling, and people couldn't be happier. So, and I'm glad, really, that coaches like Ian and everybody else is they're enjoying their day. That's the whole point. That's how this should go.
They're having fun, and their students are having fun doing it. Obviously, I haven't met Mike. I assume he's elated getting from a 14 to a 7 when he didn't even think he could get past a 10. So that's what it's all about, right? Is making this game fun for our students and fun for golfers. That's what they strive for when they go play on the golf course.
Of course he's happy. Look at this scorecard. Look at this. After a year of lessons, today was the culmination so far of all the knowledge I've garnered from Ian Hughes. Man, that's quite a statement right there. Thanks, Coach and GOLFTEC. If you're in the Grand Rapids area and looking to get over the hump or go improve, go see Ian. It looks like this was this magical 79?
That's 74.
74, 36, 38. Wow. It's pretty good. And that rail side, too. I saw my buddy Matt Coates is still the head pro there.
He is.
Oh, well, that's very cool. I'm sure he was excited about this. Was there anything about this round that really stuck out?
I mean, for him, making a couple birdies isn't out of the norm. I think we were excited there were no 3 putts, if my memory is correct.
No 3 putts. I see a chip in for a deuce.
Yeah, what was that? That's on 12. Well, that's a good, depending on where he hit it, that's an elevated green. So that could be even, I probably need to ask about that chip in because I don't even think I mentioned that when I looked at it. I complained about the bogey on 18, though, as my coaching sense always does.
You got to come in like a winner. Finish strong.
I'm greedy, man. I look at a scorecard and say, all right, that's your best ever. How do we make it better?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, Ian, thanks for joining us, and thanks for taking us through Mike's little adventure here. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I also complained about the double on 9, too, but that's just me.
He's still going. Still mad about it. He shot a 74, Ian. This is a career round for them. You're still tearing him apart.
I'm greedy.
Oh,
I want to see what he can get.
I do see 1 3-putt on 3.
Oh, you're both going at the poor guy. He shot 74. His best round ever.
Could have been
by
6.
5. And I'm sitting here picking out other stuff. Look at me go.
Horrible people. I don't know how you sleep at night. Anyway, let's do this again tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ian. See ya.